what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. I'm at the 2019 Detroit Auto Show over at the Hyundai booth, and guess what? Came across this 2019 Elantra GT, but what this one, you'll notice, has some extra letters. It's called the N-Line. Now, I think Hyundai needs to be a little careful because some other manufacturers, they build these performance brands and then they just put them on anything and water it down. So if you've been living under a rock, you would not know that Hyundai had created a performance brand, N, okay? And basically they slapped that on the Veloster Turbo here in the United States, 275 horsepower. Over in Europe, this car, the Elantra GT, is called the i30. So they have an i30N with 275 horsepower. This one, just being Elantra GT, underneath that hood is a 1.6 liter, 201 horsepower. You could get it either mated to a 6-speed or a DCT transmission. With the N-Line, if you're wondering, well, what do you get with that? You're not getting any extra performance. What you're getting is some aerodynamic tweaking going on, some different wheels, and some different brakes. So you are getting some performance, but it's not like what you think with extra horsepower. So I just hope they're going to keep everything equal on both sides, the actual N-branded cars and this new N-Line of doing things. Let's take a look at this 2019 Elantra GT N-Line. Now you can see for 2019, they revamped the styling of the front of the car. I like what they did with the N-Line by adding some of this extra aero. They say it's fully functional on this car, and if you look, it actually, I'm gonna have Lori show you, there's a passage right through that front grille. It's an aerodynamic tweaking. It's not cooling the brakes or anything like that, but it's about channeling that airflow, because remember, this thing has resistance and you want to make it cheat the air as much as you can. I really like on the Elantra GT, the open grille here. I like the way that they have just enough of a little bit of a lip spoiler. Now, I would like a little bit more. If this is going to have that N badge to it and you're not adding any extra ponies, I would like to see that be a little bit larger, but it's very clean and it looks, I think you would agree with me, very even closer to the Volkswagen GTI. But overall, in this blue with the silver, I think they did a great job with that. Let's go ahead and look at the side and see some of the other differences. Let me show you. So with this particular model, you can see you got a different wheel and brake setup than your standard Elantra GT. Also underneath these fenders, they did some tweaking to the suspension. So I really like what they've done with this wheel and tire setup. This is an 18-inch wheel, great color with the blue, it really pops. I would like to see a little bit of color in here. If you're gonna use some of that N, put a little bit of red on those calipers, especially if they say that there's extra braking capability. But I really think that this is good for people who don't want to go the N performance route, but they want something a little bit more, and that's what you're going to get with this. As we continue down the side, I like the black painted mirrors. One thing I would do if you're going to add some extra aero on the front, how about a little bit of extra side skirt running down the back? I think that would make a big difference. And then as we work our way down the back, you have this nice sunroof, panoramic. I like the way they blacked out the rest of it. And then if we loop it around, you'll see very GTI-esque back here. And that's not a bad thing, because remember, GTI, that hot hatch, been sold here in the United States ever since 1983. I love the hatchback spoiler here, and I really think that they did a great job with making this Hyundai Elantra GT look upscale. I love the LED lighting. I like the way everything is super clear, and this is another change, is this lower diffuser part. And guess what? You got your dual exhaust. So they could have went cheap and just put one exhaust there. Nice to have the two exhausts. My only problem is that this is a little small on the line part. Because if I cover that, you're like, wow, is that an N Elantra GT? No, it's N-Line. 201 horsepower is still plenty of fun, but I know many of you are like me. You want that version that they have over in Europe that has 275 horsepower. Let's go ahead and pop the hood and take a look under this Elantra GT N-Line. Let's go do it. All right, guys, here we are underneath the hood of the Elantra GT. Remember, this is the N-Line. That is that 1.6 liter inline four turbocharged engine. At the end of the day, you're looking at 201 horsepower. What's great is that Hyundai lets you choose it and have it your way. You could have this attached to a 7-speed DCT, or you could get a slick shifting manual transmission. I know which way I would be going, but it's great to have options. Direct injected, this is the performance. like I said, if I'm gonna zonk underneath the hood, first of all, that prop rod needs to go. We need some hood struts. Almost every other car has them. Also, I would like to see a true N version of this car. Please, Hyundai, make it happen. You have the Veloster N here. We're bringing that to you as well. But you know what? This is something where somebody could slot in at a good price point. Let's go ahead and check out the interior of this Elantra GT. All right, guys, here we are inside the Elantra GT, the N-Line. Come on in. Let's take a look at what we're working with. On the door panels, zonk right away. We're not working with much. There's a lot of black plastic there. If you're gonna add an N badge with that word line after it, I like to see some color on the door panel. I think that's really where they missed the mark. Now, as you transition into the dash, there is some softer material. They have some red aluminum trim around the AC vent. But what's bizarre is that they only have it here and not these AC vents. Did they run out of material over in South Korea? I have no idea. But you do get a really wonderful dual climate control setup. 8-inch infotainment screen, really easy to use. I love the font. I love the way you can zoom in, do whatever you want with this thing. You got the radio, you got your media, and this thing really goes very smooth, very fast. I really like how it works overall. That really is a good thing. Now here is that shifter for the DCT transmission. They did put an N badge here, which is really nice, and I like the leather with the red trim here. The seats are fully leather, air conditioned and heated. Nice contrast stitching here on the shifter boot. I like the sliding door on the cup holder. Up top, we have the panoramic sunroof that I showed you outside. Very, very good size, so we're really working well. And then these seats are actually really nice. I wish they would put these in the Veloster N. Does that make any sense that this is cheaper than the Veloster N, but yet these seats are nicer? Full leather, air conditioned, heated. I even like this faux carbon fiber weave that they got going on. Just adds a little extra flavor to it. Very nice. You have a cubby also here to put your phone. You got USB, you got a power source, and the door is really nice and easy moving. Why don't you come on over here and I'll show you the driver's side of things, the business end behind the wheel. Come on in, guys. 2019 Elantra GT, the N-Line. I like the N steering wheel that they have in here. This is out of the Veloster, out of that i30N, the Veloster N. Like the shape of it, I like the design. Very simplistic on the gauges, but that's okay. You got analog tach, analog speedometer with that digital display in the center. Seating position's really great. I'm 200 pounds, 6 feet tall. I feel like I have plenty of room, even with the sunroof. And there's lots of space here. The center console is very low. If I'm gonna zonk it, it's a little harder plastic on the center console. You have electric e-brake, but there's all that harder plastic. You know, at this price point, it's one of those things. There's your paddle shifters. What's interesting is on this Elantra GT, these paddle shifters are larger than the paddle shifters on an Audi R8. Go figure. But overall, great seating position. Let's go ahead and check out the back of the Elantra GT and see what we could put in that hatch portion. All right, guys, the tail end of the business. What junk are you gonna put in your trunk? We're gonna open up the hatch. Opens up very nicely. Tons of room here. Now, I guess the good thing is that the floor back here is very low, so if you have a taller item, once you get it over the ledge, it's gonna go in very nicely, but the problem is taking stuff out. That's gonna be a problem because you're looking at about a good 6 inches of depth, which has its pluses, but can have its minuses when you're dragging things out. So that's what you have to look at the end of the day. But I like the way it closes. Very easy, 1, 2, 3. If these are the types of cars you like to see on Raity's Rides, leave a comment in that comment section. If you have not subscribed yet, on your way out, hit that subscribe button. If you are a subscriber, thank you. Thank you for being part of the Raity's Rides family. You know all the different social media sites. Follow me on Raity's Rides, each and every one of them. Make sure, click that button above my head. That'll take you right to Spreadshirt for some merch. And I gotta give a huge shout out to Lori, doing the camera work, doing the business, getting every angle of this Elantra GT. Guess what? We had to bring the yoga mats with us to Detroit to make sure that she was ready. So thank you, Lori, for all your hard work. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.